Hi everyone, my name is Lana, and today I thought that I would dive into something a little bit more personal. There are a few reasons as to why I wanted to talk about this. The first one being something that I try to bring up a lot. A lot of people still have this idea that the people that they watch have had a perfect life without any struggles at all, and that is so far from the truth, at least in my case. Another reason as to why I wanted to talk about this today is because it's about to be September, which means that school is soon going to start for some of you. When I was younger, around this time of the year, I always had a really hard time because I absolutely hated school. So for me to really talk about my story and the struggles that I had as a kid in school, let's rewind back to when I was about 12. That's when I started to realize that there was something wrong with me, that I was different from everyone else and not in a good way. For as long as I can remember, I've had trouble concentrating, but it wasn't up until I was about 12 that I started to realize that I was kind of the only one that was like that. I always thought that everyone had that issue, but then I realized sitting in class that I wasn't able to learn anything that the teacher was saying and everyone else was, and that's when I was kind of like, wait, no, something's not right. It was as if I was sitting in class and I would hear the words that were coming out of my teacher's mouth, but none of it made sense. It was just like words being thrown at me and it was just all going over my head. Or whenever we would have to read a text, I would read it so many times and I just wasn't able to make sense of it. It was just words on a page. It was around that time that I decided to approach my parents about it and tell them, like, listen, I have a really hard time concentrating in school. I have to read the same thing over and over and I just cannot process any of the information that is being given to me. They would always tell me, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to focus more. You just get distracted too easily. And yeah, I get distracted very, very easily, but I can't. It's like as much as I try to maintain my concentration, I can't. It's not like I choose not to. I can't. It's like my brain doesn't allow me to keep my attention on something for too long. And it really sucked because it made me feel like maybe there wasn't something wrong with me and maybe I was just stupid. It was a terrible feeling to see people around you being able to learn something so simple and you having such a hard time to even be able to begin to understand what was going on. It really sucked, especially because I had a sister that was always like a straight A student and she was really, really good and we were very opposite. She always was very focused and I was never like that. So yeah, it just always made me feel like, oh, well, I guess I'm just the stupid child. A little later, I ended up finding out about this disorder called ADD and I felt so identified with everything that was listed there that I was just like, okay, Mom, I figured it out. I have self-diagnosed myself. I'm pretty sure that I have ADD. Like, can I go to a psychiatrist or something? And of course, she did not really want to take me because, well, I don't know how it is nowadays, but back in the day, you were usually forced on medication. It was like, oh, you have something wrong with you? Here, just take all this medication. You'll be fixed. And so in a way, I am really thankful that my mom didn't take me to a psychiatrist because I don't really believe in medication. I just think that medication is an easy fix, but at the same time, it's like, I wanted to know for sure what I had. I wanted to, I guess, know that I wasn't just stupid and, there was something else going on that was out of my control. And then around the age of 13, I began to realize that there was no point of me being in school because I wasn't learning, so why waste my time? It was then that I started to skip school. I wasn't skipping too much school at that point, but when I did reach about the age of 17, I was skipping so much school that I was actually on the verge of not even graduating high school. I was getting into so much trouble in school and with my parents that I ended up transferring to a delinquent school, which really sucked. While I was at that school though, I ended up finding out about this test that I can do, and if I passed it, then I would be given something that is equivalent to a high school diploma. So all I had to do was study for this test, and if I passed it, that was it. That was it for high school. It was my dream to get out, so of course, I decided to convince my parents and they let me take the test, and I did pass on my first try. So yeah, I passed the test, I was out of school, and I thought that that would be the end of my troubles. But I was so very wrong. The fact that I have such a hard time concentrating was actually also affecting me in my social life. Watching these videos, you may not realize that because, of course, I can cut off the pauses where I'm thinking about what it is that I'm saying, and then jump into the next clip where I'm saying the correct things and I'm saying everything perfectly. But if we were to have a one-on-one conversation, you would be able to notice it right away that I have a really hard time concentrating to this day. So instead of running away from my problems, I decided to finally face it. I am 24 years old right now, okay? And I finally went to the psychiatrist 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it turns out that I do have ADD. I guess it's pretty moderate. It's not absolutely terrible. I do think that it has gotten better within the years. And it also turns out that I have social anxiety. I feel like the two of them do go hand in hand. The reason why I have social anxiety is because all my life I felt that I was really stupid. And so when I'm speaking to someone, I know that I am going to zone out probably multiple times throughout the conversation. And even when I'm speaking myself, sometimes I cannot fully concentrate on what I'm saying. So I end up stumbling over my words, or I forget what I'm going to say, and that makes me so anxious and it makes me so frustrated with myself that it produces the social anxiety. Anyways, going back to the psychiatrist, the reason why I decided to finally, take control of this is because I feel like I've had enough. And I know that I'm always going to struggle with ADD, like forever. I know that, but if there are ways and things that I can do to make it just a little bit easier to live with, then I'm all for it. My psychiatrist was telling me though that there are certain things and certain exercises that you can do, but it does vary from person to person. He said that for me, and I'm assuming it would work for everyone as well, that the main thing that I could do was to read. And I know that someone that has ADD and reading, it just usually doesn't really mix well. So he was telling me that I should read every single day. And for someone that didn't grow up reading a lot, it is hard to kind of get into that, you know what I mean? But I have found ways that have made it easier for me to keep concentration while I'm reading. So what I do is I use earplugs whenever I'm going to read. I try to also read only at night, just because I know that there won't be a lot of noise, a lot of distraction. I get very distracted also with things that happen around me. I don't know if maybe I have great peripheral vision or something like that, but yeah. Anything that happens around me, I will notice right away. And if I'm reading and something's happening over there, I will most likely start paying attention more to that than I am to what's in front of me. I don't know if that's really making sense. Nowadays, I'm actually able to read about 2 or 3 chapters at a time without getting too distracted. Before, I used to only be able to read 1 or 2 pages, but I kept insisting, and with time, look at where I've gotten now. For the first time in my life, I have finished a book in 1 week. This past week, actually. I decided to start reading Harry Potter again, just because I love it so much. And for someone that does have ADD, the best thing that you can do when it comes to reading is to find something that you are very, very, very interested in. And because I was very interested in Harry Potter the first time that I read it, I decided that that would be a great thing for me to do, for me to reread, basically. Aside from that, I know that there are other exercises that you can do. So what I will do is I'm going to link it down below. I'm going to try to find certain websites that have really good exercises that I think are worthwhile, and I'll have that all linked down in the description box. So the point of the video is not only to, kind of share my story, but also because when I was growing up, I always felt very, very alone with that problem. I didn't know anyone else that had ADD, so I couldn't relate to anyone, and I kept bullying myself because I was different. And so this is me telling you that it's okay, that it isn't the end of the world. It sucks, yeah, but it just means that you're going to have to push harder than everyone else when it comes to learning. I would definitely suggest trying to talk to your parents. I know that, it's possible that they could do the same as my parents. Maybe they don't necessarily want to turn to a psychiatrist because they don't want you to be medicated, and I actually don't suggest being medicated at all, just because I feel like medication is a temporary fix. And sure, everything's great when you're on medication, you can concentrate and all these great things, but as soon as you're off, I feel like the change is going to make you feel like you're even stupider or more stupid. So I don't necessarily suggest that. I do think that there are other things that you can do that will actually not fix the problem completely, because as I've mentioned before, ADD, you can't just fix it. Like it's always going to be there, but you can make it a little bit more bearable to live with. So yeah, definitely try to speak to your parents or speak to other classmates or something like that. If you can, you know, if you are able to find someone else that is going through the same things as you, it's always good to be able to talk about that and to just like find strategies for yourself and find things online even that like exercises and things like that that could possibly help you. But mainly don't ever feel alone, and don't ever tell yourself that you're stupid, because you're not. Just because you have ADD doesn't mean that you're stupid. It really just means that you're different, and different isn't always a bad thing. It's not always a great thing either. But you can deal with it, and you can find ways to deal with it. So yeah, just don't ever feel stupid. But anyways, I'm going to end this video here. I feel like I blabbed on so much. I'm really hoping that I was able to mention everything that I wanted to mention. It's very possible that I've left stuff out. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for some of you that may be struggling with the same things, or even if you know someone that is struggling with something similar to that, maybe it's just kind of opened your mind to being a little bit more accepting. Please be more mindful of people that do have these struggles. Don't tell them that it is something that they can control and it is a choice that they don't want to concentrate, because it's not a choice. If it was a choice, I would totally choose to not be this way, but unfortunately that's not how it is. It's not a choice. It's just the way that I am, and maybe you are, or maybe someone else is. So just be respectful of people as well. So as I was saying before, I'm going to link some things down below, some exercises that may be helpful for you, for anyone that has ADD. It's gonna be in the description box, so check it out. But yes, anyways, I hope that you guys are having a great week, and I will see you in my next video.